have no clue what to tell you. I am trying everything here. But you're looking at my screen at the same time, so you see what's... No, you're not, are you? Yes, but I have you as well. But what do we do? What do we do? What do I do? That way? And this is good? Yes.
Okay, should we do a podcast? Okay, I'll do a little spiel, and I'll ask you some questions and you'll answer them, and then that'll be the end. Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Insider, brought to you, as ever, by Vanishing Inc. My guest today is very famous in Denmark because he's Danish. Well, it's because he's funny and a really good magician, but let's focus on the Danish part right now. When your friend Morten Christensen was on the show, I wanted to fact-check some weird things I'd found out about Denmark, and I'm going to start with 3 facts the internet told me. There are 3 times more pigs than people in Denmark. True or false?
Probably true.
Okay. Escaping from prison is not a crime in Denmark.
I'm sure it is.
Yo, you saying false to that one?
Yeah.
They say the internet said if you escape, you don't get any time added to your sentence. You just get put back in and have to serve the remainder of your time.
Actually, we just had a murderer who escaped, but they caught him again, and I have no idea if they added on his time. I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, so we're unsure on that one. And the third one is there's no word for please in Danish. True or false?
Not a single word. That's very true. It's actually quite interesting. I never heard that before. That's true. You say a sentence, but it becomes one word. It becomes one word. So it's true. There's not a single word for please, but we use a sentence to say the same thing.
Wow.
Do you think that was one of them because we come across as not a very polite type of people?
I don't think you come across as not polite.
Well, if we don't know how to say please, it sounds a bit, doesn't it?
Well, you'd say it in English, wouldn't you? If you were speaking to an English person, you'd say
yes.
Please, or would you just say give me the tea? Tea, English person.
Yeah.
Now, is living in a small country like Denmark a help or a hindrance for your magic?
That's a very good question, because there is so much in that, because becoming a person that your country knows about is obviously easier in a small country than a big one.
Sure.
And that has definitely been a help for me, that I didn't come up in England or France or Germany or America. So yes, the hinder is I would prefer to do my show like every year, but I can't because there's not enough people in the country. So we have like a little small rule of thumb that is at least 2 years between shows. So that means right now I am in a middle year. So right now I wish I kind of had a little tour to do, but I don't. So we have to be very cautious not to cannibalize what we're doing. But yes, the other things that are good about becoming well known in a small country is that the way that Danes treat fame and stardom is very mellow. It's quite easy to be a well-known person in this country. It's not a problem. It's not enormous. It becomes very familiar. It becomes, when I get to the outskirts of Denmark, they talk to me like I went to school with them. And I like that. It's interesting.
That's
yeah,
nice.
It is.
That's
and
nice.
it's never screams. It's always, oh, there you are. It's like that. Mm-hmm. So it's pleasant. Yes. So, but also being a small country, the tone of humor, the tone of taste is more homogen, right? We're more the same in the small country. So I guess when my humor comes out, it is relatable to the entire country because we're much more similar.
Yeah.
I don't feel that the space or the void between people in Denmark is that big. It's quite small. Yeah.
Now, you're a bit like, and I bet you get this almost daily, you're quite like Madonna.
I get this daily.
Or the Beatles, insofar as you
Madonna.
continually, much more like Madonna, you continually reinvent yourself. And you started off as Move Monkey, Close Up, Coin Dude, and then comedy clubs, and then full theatre shows. And I want to talk about those transitions. So you're there doing your 3 pieces of silver and everything. How do you go from that to comedy clubs?
Coin magic and close-up magic and the magic community was my world from I was 16 till I was 19, 20. It was the only thing I wanted to do. I wanted to get really good at coins. I wanted to put my mark on magic internationally. And then I did some lecture tours, and I found it quite lonely and a bit not really I was a bit sad by it. I got home. I was still doing my shows here in Denmark, which were close-up magic. And then I just said, something's wrong. I couldn't find myself. And then I went to see stand-up comedy for the first time. I was 19 years old. I knew comedy, English-speaking comedy, but I didn't know Danish comedy. And then suddenly I just saw the platform and went, oh, this I can be honest here, or I can be myself. And that was the transition from that to that. It was both me being a little tired of one aspect, and then figuring out, I've grown up through this, right? I was a little kid when I did magic, and then I was a teenager who wanted to impress the cool guys. And then I went from there to wanting, I guess, more love. And then, right? I wanted big scale love. And then, comedy magic was, when I look back at some of the old recordings of me, I see a very, very vulnerable, very desperate person, just desperate for love and attention. And so everything I did was screaming, right? It was screaming magic. Do you know what I mean? It was like punchline. Yeah. And that was just, I guess, a little immature. And then I grew up with it. And then quite a lot of years, actually. I became mature quite late in life, in performance life. Yeah, but comedy magic was definitely somebody trying to I think it was me trying to I knew what I wouldn't or didn't want to be. So everything I did was desperately the opposite. I think that was it.
Okay. And were you would, in the comedy clubs, you were doing funny magic. Was there a time when you were just going out without anything and just doing jokes, or was it always magic? It was
always with something.
And did you get frowned upon by the other magicians in the clubs? Because in the UK, sometimes the magician comes out and the other comics are going, "Oh, he's just a prop guy." And
I remember,
was the same in Denmark or not?
It was. I remember because when comedy in the late 90s, it was very strict. It was almost religious. It was a person and a microphone and maybe a stand and maybe a bar stool. That's it, right? And then suddenly we come along, or magicians are tried to bring out props, as you said. And I remember they had this chat forum on MySpace or something. And then they wrote, "Oh my God, a magician is coming Thursday. What's next? A non-smoking section?" I remember they wrote that. I seriously remember that. And then listen, they welcomed me very quickly. I guess not so much because of I don't think that they thought too much about prop magic in any way. I just tried to be nice and just be honest. And sure, there's been several marks throughout like my career from them, but they've always been funny. And there's also a thing that they don't see me as a complete threat in the beginning, because it's so obviously different, right?
Yeah.
And you always want to go on from something, like in a comedy club, you want to go after something that has been very different from you.
Yeah.
So I was a middle act for a long time, and they enjoyed coming on after me because they would then be very different, right?
Sure.
So, no, not too much. Actually, they're my best friends today, and it was quite welcoming. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so you're there. You're a middle act at comedy clubs. What's the transition from that to booking theatres and performing in theatres? How does that go?
Well, the theaters in the beginning were just a result of increasing fame in this country, because I stood out quite quickly, and because I figured out quite quickly how to be funny with things, how to be funny with magic, how to play this out. I figured that out quite quickly. I didn't have myself with me. I was not at all figured out who I was or who I was on stage. I just figured out what worked. And then I just followed that with everything I could. And I found a way to come up with things that were original to me and make them work. And when you first taste that, you just, oh my God, that tastes so good. So I just ran towards that. And that just, I had an increasing audience. And then I could start thinking about theaters. And I just did more comedy magic in theaters. Instead of a half an hour, I now did like an hour and a half of more comedy quick magic. I did everything from that was weird. I have a show where my opening line is, I like to start the show by swallowing a bicycle. And then I brought out this huge thing with a bicycle that I made with my friend Jens, so it looked like I swallowed it. So something was just, I don't think that anybody in the audience went, there's a real bicycle up on stage. Oh my God, he really swallowed it. Nobody. But it looked funny enough and fooling enough for them to go, this is just, all right, just give it to me. Right?
Carry on. Yeah.
And I just carried on for, I would say, 3 or 4, no, red, green, blue, 4 shows, theater shows of that kind. But I can see myself now going back that I was trying something else. I didn't succeed, but I was trying something else. I didn't know what it was yet. And then the big thing for me is that I grew up. For me, I have a show called Barnløs, which means childish. It's also out with Vanishing Inc. with subtitles. And that was the first step into mature room on stage. It was the first step. Because it was about me and my wife not being able to have children and then adopting. And this was all our life was about for 8 years, right? And I could juggle that and still do comedy magic and then try this enormous project in life. And then the project overtook everything. And then when it came time to create new material, I had already experienced this fertility clinic thing and everything, and we had cried our tears and we had laughed our laughs, so now I could actually use that. And I don't know how or what, but I was really scared about, I'm going to give them something completely different, and I'm going to disappoint some of the people, because they're used to me swallowing a bicycle. And then I go, I have low sperm count. No, we want the bicycle. Swallow something big again. Yeah. And it went very, very well. And best of all, I enjoyed watching myself do that more than ever. Whenever I saw recordings of myself earlier, I was always, Jesus, calm down. Just don't scream so much. Don't try so much. And for the first time, I thought, oh, okay, there's actually something that's real. And I found it quite fulfilling to create magic tricks out of stuff like that. That really gave me something. And now that's what I've been doing for the past 4 shows of that. Not only talking about not being able to have children, but just sperm. I'm on my 5th sperm show now. No, but just my heroes in theater and books and comedy, they start here, right? They don't start here, they start here or here. And that's what I've been trying to do up until now.
How did you broach the idea with your wife?
I asked her.
And was she cool with it from the beginning?
Yes, she kind of was, but it was a very serious and open talk. And I remember it, and I go, "Will you be cool about if I told you?" Because let me see if this translates well. I think it does. There's a very important distinction between personal and private for me. When my shows are about my life and my views, so there has to be a very clear distinction between private and personal. The good shit, the good stories, they come out of personal. And some people can juggle being private on stage. But I try to tell my version of this, and not, we adopted a son, and it's really important to me that I don't use his name. I don't use my wife's name. I don't talk about his problems. I talk about my issues with this. Mm-hmm. That's really important to me. But yes, she did approve with it. And I still ask. I mean, I ask her. I ask my mother, is it all right if I tell this story about you? And she will go, can you leave out this part? And I go, that's the good part. And she goes, okay. Yeah.
It's nice to have that trust. Now, you obviously about becoming a dad, but has that changed your approach to your work? Because to me, from seeing you many, many years at the session, there's always been a kind of childish, naive approach to your performing. I remember you having me crying with laughter with the football under the jumper bit years ago when the session was at Cheltenham. And it's naive and young. And some people will say when they have kids, they start seeing the world through their child's eyes and exploring things that they're familiar with all over again. But you kind of seemed like you already had that. So has having your son changed your approach to your magic in any way?
That's so good a question. Because for so long, I was really worried. Like, I am becoming more serious. I am trusting that I'm interesting and not just funny. There's a big thing of being interesting on stage. When do you know whether or not you're interesting? Interesting doesn't sound. You can't hear interest. You have to trust interest. And within that goes, am I leaving my childish side of wanting that quick fix constantly? But then I really thought, and I probably also, one of the shows was maybe not childish enough. I hadn't found out, because there are some points of me that definitely haven't changed. I mean, I've just been playing around with the trick before we talked, and it requires a can, old can, and while I was just talking out loud, I realized that in Danish, can is slang for the female, and I just cracked up by not knowing this, and was just in tears of myself, because this would be the longest setup for the worst taste joke. And I gotta try this, right? So I still have that, but there's other ways of showing my childishness, if that's a word. I mean, it's almost vulgar that you have a football under your shirt, because it's so expressively childish. But then the childishness can come across as in, I don't always look upon, okay, so we adopted my son from South Africa. So we are now a family. Actually, I just had a daughter like 20 days ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We found out why my wife couldn't have children. And then it is a crazy story. We spent 8 years, adopted a child, had him for 5 years, found out why in the first place we could not have children. It was a problem with my wife's something in here, right? I don't know the English names.
Yeah.
There was a fungus, and this she got cured from. And then the doctor said, all right, I know you're over 40, but if you ever wanted to try, go now. And we had one egg left. And we put that in, and now I have a daughter. And this is my new show.
Oh, man.
Can you see, just by telling the story, that the way you reacted, I just know that this is a great story to tell out, right? And now we have her. She's 20 days today. Her name is Abad. And we are now a family of 2 white people, a brown son from South Africa, and our biological daughter who is 20. It is such a strange constellation that it's quite easy for me to go, there's so much humor in this. Oh, there's so much magic in this. We had 1 egg. Yeah. An egg, okay. And the possibilities were like 0, but it still worked. That's more magic. So I'm looking there for this. So I know I'm answering several questions, but the childishness is there as long as I allow myself to go. There's so much honesty about being a white father to a brown kid. I mean, there's so many things that if I am completely honest to the audience, it sounds pretty childish what's going through my head. Why do you think about that? That's not a problem at all. But it kind of was for me, something like that. There's childish approaches to that. And then I can find the magic has become much more classical, much more like coins across or silks, much more classical. But the stories and the observations are still kind of childish. So that's the way I need to use this for tricks and magic and performances.
Yeah. Oh, well, huge congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You look remarkably not very tired for having a 20-day-old baby.
It's been too easy, actually. It's been too easy. How many, do you have children?
2, yeah.
2. How
9
old are
and
they?
3.
9 and
3.
Oh, great.
So I started late as well. Don't worry about the 40 thing. I was 44 when my first was born. So you just knackered all the time. That's the only problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm 47 now. What are you?
52.
52. I do spend a lot of time thinking about being an old father.
I do. Particularly at the school gates, pick up and drop off. I'm clearly old compared to the other parents.
Do you deliberately wear more urban and young clothes?
I think I wear jeans and I live in jeans and a t-shirt or jeans and a shirt. I've never transitioned to kind of 50-year-olds' clothes.
I bought a green jumper and an orange hat to look a little bit younger. I don't wear it though. Would never wear it.
Now, I just touched on the session and I wondered that was the first time I saw you because Josh and Andy were championing you. They've got a real knack for all of the convention stuff, is finding a mixture of names that people know and trust and then bringing over people that you've never heard of, but you book a ticket because you kind of trust Andy and Josh are going to deliver on the performers. But then you kept coming to the session and you kept coming to the session. What was it that you enjoyed about the convention? What made it special, do you think?
First of all, I've been friends with Joshua since I was 18 years old. He's one of my very close friends, so that's the way in. But the session has always been very important to me because it is kind of the place, I would say, almost the only place in Magic World where I actually felt like I could perform like I really performed back home. I've done it twice in America at the Magic whatever the convention is that he does there. But
Magic Live.
Yeah, there you go. And but I always felt like I had to hold back a little bit and not give him like the true stuff. And the Brits and the Danes are so similar in humor and in demeanor and everything. And I just felt really at home there. It was really like, I can be whoever I want here. I never really go to offend anybody, and I never really offend anybody here. But I have occasionally, not deliberately, offended people at magic conventions. And I really do not like offending people. And it just seems like at the session, you just go. You do whatever you want. You can go. And I just, all right, cool. I don't feel anything. That's great. I feel good. So that's the reason why I kept coming back.
Now, American listeners won't know this. You may not. But in the UK, there was a popular show called Room 101. based on Orwell, Room 101 from 1984, where things that were banished were put. So that's the pretext of this question over with. Room 101 is a place where you can put things that you want to get rid of. What aspects of magic would you put into Room 101, Rune Klan?
If you had asked me 10 years ago, I could talk for hours about what I wanted to put in that room. But I don't think I would put so much in there anymore. Because it's I mean, magic is so much more now than it was when I started. And there's so many different fields, and they're huge, and remember the first time there was a mentalist convention? The first time we went, who's going to show up? Like 4 people? And then it grew, and then there's built a huge mentalist world now, and there's a huge parlor world now. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's things I like and I dislike, but what would I get rid of? I think I would add more. I would much rather add to the current magic one. I wish we could figure out ways to really be a good medium for something else than just fooling. I mean, like a comedy show used to be just about getting laughs, but it's much more today. And a magic show, I wish we can get more than just going away fooled. So I would much rather add to the current room. I'm just going, I wish we could, and we're getting there. I think we're definitely getting there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so conversely, because that's lovely, and maybe that's your age and fatherhood and the journey you've been on and yada, yada, yada. But what excites you about, not your magic, but the world of magic? What do you think's exciting about what's going on now? What interests you?
When somebody, I'm quite fortunate to know a lot of very, very good magicians. And when they show me something that is so perfect or great or fooling or creative, and it's just built on something really smart or not necessarily. I remember it's not too long ago, I got fooled by somebody who just finger palmed something. And I think I kind of know the finger palm. I've been finger palming stuff for a long time. So how can a finger palm just disarm me completely? But it did, because it was everything around that finger palm that fooled me. That just, whoa. So I was so excited about that. I just thought that was amazing. I'm in a YouTube rabbit hole at the moment, looking at really old magic, like YouTube clips of people who have filmed the TV screen of a Betamax recording. And I really like looking at old, like Charlie Miller stuff or Ross Bertram. I've really been looking into Ross Bertram recording and just finding that little thing and then trying to make it bigger for a stage. That's been my joy for the past year. So I really can get excited about old, weird ideas. I found a writing that you can boil an egg, you can write on it with something, then leave it in vinegar, and then it disappears. And then when you give it to something, you can have them crack the egg and take out the hard-boiled egg, and it says a prediction. I just think, what? That just seems...
We could release that.
Brilliant! So you just give somebody an egg, and they feel, all right, it's a hard-boiled egg. Yeah, but wait! And then you do something, and you crack the egg. It says bananas! Yeah, I know! Where did I find that? In some old strange book.
That sounds so
Isn't that amazing? And it's just...
Honestly, if we shot a slick trailer and had some young hip magician
with tattoos,
we could, with loads of tattoos, we could sell that.
Doesn't that just sound amazing?
It really does. I want to know what the chemicals are. After you've done it, after we've finished, you have to find what book it's in.
It was extremely simple. It was just vinegar and I think maybe carbon water or something like that. It was very simple.
How cool.
Yeah.
How cool. Talking of magic books, what are a couple of magic books that you think everyone should read? Apart from wherever it is I'm trying to point, Rune's World.
I can't say for everybody, but if you somehow are listening to this or watching this and feel that we might be a kindred spirit or something, I have found my world started with very hardcore finger things, like really difficult technical things. And I found that was, I used to think that I wasted my life on coin magic. But then I figured out, wait, it's the basic mechanics for everything. So if I can finger palm a coin and move it to a backflip, I can do the same with the slice of cheese. And then it's something else, right? But, okay, I guess my Bible was totally out of control by Chris Kenner.
It's just been reprinted.
I know. And it was Gary Kurtz.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Leading with your head.
Yes, it was. Let's Get Furious. I think I'm one of the few who actually practiced that and made everything. I was 16 and had to wear a cummerbund. Is that what it's called?
Cummerbund, yeah.
What was that word come from? Cumber and bun.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a portmanteau. I don't know. Should we find out? Should we do live Googling etymology of cummerbund? Sounds a bit German.
It does sound German.
Etymology.
No, but cumber is a very British word, isn't it? Cumberland.
Cumberbund.
I have to say Williamson as well.
It's an anglicised form of Hindustani kammerband, which originated from the Persian kammerband. It entered English vocabulary in 1616 from India. It's a combination. It is a portmanteau. It's a combination of the word kamar, meaning waist, and band, meaning strap.
Wow.
Come to the Insider for Magic Chat and leave with the etymology of unusual dress.
And fashion
things.
tips. Yeah.
Fashion tips. That's a good collection. That's a good start. Yeah, there's some good books.
That was for me everything. And Williamson, it was watching him for the first time at a lecture, and seeing suddenly, oh really? Is this allowed? And that just opened.
Getting the permission.
He gave us the permission to be that. And that was a huge inspiration on me in the beginning. He just gave me permission to go, you can spend 6 minutes on this. It looks like magic, but it's obviously something super stupid. But it looks like magic, so it justifies why you are doing this. He stole some flowers, and then he did flowers across by breaking off the buds and then sort of trying to replace them. And it's not like we were sitting there, oh my God, the tulips have crossed, I have no idea. But he just allowed us to go, all right, I can do this now. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. That was so good. Amazing Jonathan. I saw him quite late in life. A lot of people thought that I had seen him quite early, but I hadn't. I was involved in that zany, crazy magic, and then I just saw him for the first time. Oh my God, we're very similar. And he was really edgy, which also gave me permission to be edgy back home. So yes, yeah, guess
that's
something like that.
Of books. Talking of, you ready for the segue? You ready for the segue? It's coming. Talking of learning and books, your masterclass is coming out with Vanishing Ink soon. Smooth,
yes.
Smooth,
Yeah.
What kind of things can people expect to learn in your masterclass?
My attempt is to show how I take something like a quite standard effect, like something like rope magic or Fakini balls, like Chicago balls or something like that, and then teach something and then show how I made this about something completely different. how I could sort of figure out the story of now being the white father of a black child, sort of can be used in this trick as a either underscore or accommodates the story, or is a sort of an association when the story is done, and then this trick sort of makes sense. I'm very interested in those musicians who sing a song, stop, like relax on the guitar, tell a story about, this is 1976 and I saw this woman, I fall madly in love with her. This is the next song, it's about that. And you have this story and he could be funny or they could tell something. That's what I wanted with my magic. I wanted to go from, there's a reason why a trick appeals to me. There's a reason why I've been practicing something and I need to use it to tell something. And that's what I've tried to do in the Masterclass. Yes, it is. I'm very into like the bikini balls with the shell and everything. I really love that prop. Like those very archetypical things we use, like cards, rope, balls, silks, things like that. It's not too difficult to look at them as a very iconic symbol that can be about anything. I keep coming back to eggs, right? I just dropped them all over the floor here. I keep coming back to eggs because eggs are almost balls and you can almost use them as a ball. But an egg is just such a great symbol of life and something fragile. So I work in symbols, I guess. Wow, what a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who's it aimed at? Who should
The Masterclass?
Masterclass, yeah. What kind of person?
I don't know. Somebody who likes to at least try to think about adding a little more. I mean, I completely get it. I am in a very luxurious position. I have an audience, and I can ask them to come, and then I can tell them something about me. And there are very few people who have that. And I still go out, and I don't do corporate gigs anymore, but I used to. And it is a bit harder to tell something personal in a corporate gig. But again, when I succeeded in doing that, I thought the corporate gig went so much better. Right. When I gave something, and it's not just telling a vulnerable story, but it's giving out something that's from in here. And magic it's not easy to make it about something in here, but it is doable. Yeah. And when it works, it, at least to me, feels like I give him a little bit more, just a little bit more. And I think I can feel that. Because there is a difference. There is a difference between a good laugh and a bad laugh. There is a difference.
Go on.
Things can generate laughs, but you kind of know when it doesn't taste too good. And then if it comes from something very true or something real, then you know, this has more value. It definitely does. So I guess my point is that if you have this desire of just adding a little bit more personal, I think maybe there'll be one or two things that might inspire.
So is it very theory-based about that, or are you teaching tricks as well?
I'm teaching tricks down the line. I know, because I also really like tricks. I really like visual. I really like to play, and I want to write on...
Eating bicycles.
Yeah, and writing on eggs, and visual is great. Yeah. So, yeah.
Are there any, the third week of the Masterclass, we will be doing a live Q&A hosted by me. Are there any questions people should not ask you during that live Q&A?
I was about to say to teach a coin trick. But then again, sure, why not? I think if I have anything to add to the magic world, it is like stage magic and how to become a person with magic. I think that's the few things that I'm getting decent at sort of doing. And
finally.
Finally. And I think that is what I sort of had to have to offer. A little bit like how to question your words. Like, do you really want to say that? Do you really want to express that? How do you feel about when I say what you just said? Does that feel good? And I guess that's what I really like. I want to feel good about things I say and do.
Rune Klan, we're out of time. The last time you did this podcast was in 4 years ago at the session, and I always end the podcast with the same 4 questions. I listened back to the one to get your answers 4 years ago to these 4 quickfire questions, and let's compare and contrast. Favourite pizza topping?
I would say margarita.
You are consistent. It was margarita 4 years ago.
Okay.
Favourite movie?
I think I'm going to say Apocalypse Now.
You were unsure, and you went, I've just seen Marriage Story, and I loved it.
Oh, God, I love that movie. But it's not my favorite movie, because I don't think of it that frequently. I think Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Often.
So you lied to me.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Favourite personal people that make music?
Wow. Who do I really enjoy? God, because I really am a big consumer of music. Who's my favorite? I have no idea who I'm going to answer. Who did I say?
No, you said Beck.
Oh, I do really like Beck. I keep coming back to Beck. I think I'm going to stick with Beck.
Okay, stick with Beck. And finally, who would you rather fight? 100 tiny Joshuas or 1 massive Andy?
100 tiny Joshuas.
Interesting.
I've changed.
You've switched, yeah. And you was when I asked the question 4 years ago. Immediately it was Andy. There was not even any thought process. Immediately it was Andy.
But he's been working out. He's been working out lately. So I don't know. I think a massive Andy, and he's been working out. No. 100 Joshuas.
Rune Klan, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I really appreciate it. And if you are unaware, you can take a trial. Not you. I'm talking to the listeners now. Although you leaned in, but you can take the trial as well. No. You can take the trial as well. And you can, if you've not done it before, you can just one measly $1, and then you can enjoy Rune's Masterclass. Now, to be honest, it will renew at full price unless you cancel. We're so transparent, Rune, so transparent. You'll even get an email reminding you that it's going to renew, but we don't think you're going to want to cancel because it's brilliant. So go along to vanishinginc.com/masterclass and take the trial, or pay full price if you've already had the trial, because Rune's awesome. Rune Klan, you're joyous. Enjoy your baby girl. And I hope she continues to sleep. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Boom.
Boom.
And we're out.
Despite technical difficulties that I think I would have to hire Snowden to fix, we actually came through.
We did. Thank you, man. I do appreciate your time.
So this was really nice. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.